Kia ora, good evening. The agonising wait continues for family and friends of the 29 miners missing since the Pike River mine blast on Friday afternoon. Here are the latest developments we can tell you. Rescue teams are ready to start, but they cannot move in until the air quality is safe. Work teams are drilling a small hole down to the damaged shaft. It's exploratory and it may determine what's going on. Air samples show there is still some combustion going on within the mine tunnel. Families of the missing men have been taken by bus today to the mine site itself, as some express frustration at the lack of progress. But the police officer in charge of the operation says he will not send a crew in until he is sure the situation is safe. Well, joining us now live from Greymouth is Prime News reporter Kate King. Kate, you've been down there right throughout this ordeal. It's now more than 48 hours since the blast and rescuers have still not entered the mine. What's the latest on that?
Yes, that's correct. The rescue operation is still not yet underway, but we're learning more about it. What I can tell you is there's 6 5-man rescue teams ready and waiting to enter that mine, as well as a 7-man specialist team from New South Wales, which is currently on standby in Christchurch should they be needed. Now, when these miners do enter, they'll be walking along that 2.2 kilometre tunnel we've been talking about. That's expected that it could take them up to 2 hours, at which point they will be needing some oxygen. They will have oxygen tanks on them. In fact, they'll have up to about 10 kgs worth of gear to carry into that mine, but yet there's still no clear answer as to what's happening with these air samples. They're doing them now every 30 minutes, but there's still no conclusive results. Today, for the first time since the explosion, media were allowed access to the mine site. You can see here the entrance to the tunnel and its rugged surroundings. Emergency services and a specialist mine rescue team has been on hand here all day and all night since Friday's explosion, but so far they've had little to do except train.
I'm not going to put 16 guys underground and lose them to effect a half-assed rescue. Let's be honest. You've got to put it into context of what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people's lives here, and my operation is around safety and rescue, bringing these guys out alive if we can, and that's my major focus.
Air samples collected from the mine are still showing high levels of gas and have even indicated signs of heat below the surface.
That means that there's some combustion of material and that's generating the gases that go with that, some carbon monoxide and showing a slight increase in methane and some other gases. The samples we were able to take yesterday afternoon show that those gases are downward trending. They do show that there is something happening underground, to the extent of which we don't know.
The families of the trapped miners have continuously asked to visit the mine. Today, their wishes were granted. Until today, this cordon was as close as the families of those trapped underground were allowed to get to the mine. It's still 3 kilometres down this road, but for many of the families who were taken there today, it was the first time they'd seen the mine and been able to comprehend the rescue mission. But as the hours pass with still no contact, it's becoming just as hard for those above ground as those who are trapped beneath it. And even a trip to the mine isn't enough to ease their anxiety. Church services are being used as a way to seek comfort. The congregation lighting candles for the miners as they try to hold on to hope.
There was a feeling that things were not looking at all good, that there was the potential that it could be a disaster. And so we were trying to help the congregation as a whole move from optimism to realism.
A full list of the trapped miners has not yet been released by police, something the Grey District Mayor disagrees with.
I think it's time now we actually take another step. We need to disclose to people who they are in there, because everyone knows locally. It's not a secret. Anyone could compile it if they really wanted to. So let's get that out there so we can move on.
A drilling rig sourced from Australia is the next step forward. It's being used to bore 150 metres below the mountainous surface to collect more accurate air samples from further along the mine tunnel. That process could take up to 24 hours.
The drill rig's gone up onto the mountain and we'll be looking to drill a hole down into the mine, a small hole, primarily for taking gas samples. So initially it'll be just big enough to be able to take gas from a different part of the mine to where the shaft is.
Despite the lack of progress so far, authorities insist they're still dealing with a rescue operation, not a recovery mission. Kate King, Prime News, Greymouth.
Well, joining me now is Energy Minister Jerry Brownlee. Now, Mr Brownlee, what is the latest you can tell us?
Well, not a lot of change, only that the boring process has begun to start getting an extra line in there to check out the atmosphere in the mine. And the consideration of safety issues before the rescue team go in is still underway. But optimism remains high for the miners who are in there.
Now, you've been here since the explosion on Friday night. How would you describe the mood in the community with authorities given the ongoing delays?
I think in the community there's of course huge concern and empathy with the families who are, going through this. It's very hard to imagine what that must feel like. If you've got your father, your brother, your son stuck down there, your husband, your partner. It's very, very difficult to empathise with those people, but the wider community here most certainly do. The authorities, I think, have gone about this in a very professional manner, making sure that they don't do anything that might jeopardise the survivors down there, and making sure that any of the crews that go in can enter the mine safely. So I think, it's step by step, but everything is being done the way it should be.
And Minister, you were actually able to go up to the mine on Friday night and have a look there. What could you see?
Well, with Pike River there's never a lot to see with the mine anyway, because it's simply a tunnel that goes into the mountainside. But at the site where they do all the control exercises, which is just a short distance from the mine entrance, once again you had a very professional consideration of what the mine condition was, and assembling at that stage of the rescue teams, and they were putting together the plan that they'll execute as soon as they get the go-ahead to go into the mine.
Speaking with us there was Minister for Energy Jerry Brownlee. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Kate. Well, support for the trapped miners and their families is coming from across New Zealand and around the world, and their plight is very much on the minds of Kiwis overseas.
And you are here to walk beside us to help us.
At a church service in Greymouth, the faithful pray and wait for word on the fate of the 29 miners.
Everyone just wants them home, Their brothers, dads, uncles, sons. Yeah, so workmates.
Locals drawing strength from the service.
It affirms where the community's at. It affirms the connection the community has with each other. And our prayers, I believe, help that community.
Half a world away, support from the All Blacks, fresh from a victory over Ireland in Dublin.
You can only imagine what it's like for the families sort of not knowing. So, I know the guys all talked about it, and, I guess our thoughts are with all those people that have, sitting and wondering. So we hope for the best, I suppose.
Support too from our nearest neighbour, Australian Prime Minister Julia Gillard, promising whatever assistance is needed.
We know our New Zealand colleagues are doing everything they can to effect a rescue. We have offered assistance as Australia, and some of our personnel will be assisting. So I think everybody's thoughts and prayers are there. We're waiting for further news, but it could be some time yet.
That help includes mine rescue experts from Queensland and New South Wales, already on the ground at Pike River, among them experts on mine ventilation and gas chemistry.
The Australian coal industry is arguably the safest in the world. We do train for this, and the expertise we have in our team is we've got guys in there who've had over 25 years experience with mines rescued.
The big question now is when the would-be rescuers will get a chance to put their equipment and expertise into action. Richard Sutherland, Prime News.